Welcome to Who Put This On, Season 3, Episode 45, where we watch Night Fight, Season 1, Episode 2. I'm Chris Lorenz.
I'm Brian Houston.
This is James.
I'm Harrison Hoffman.
I'm Anna Bam Bam Beth.
Welcome, Bam Bam.
Hey, thanks.
This is a very different show than we've done in a while. I'm going to be honest. The only other show similar to this was that UFC show, I think.
This is more
It's
similar
very
to
much
that.
like the UFC show. And a little like Forge and Fire. Just a little. You get a little taste.
Yeah, you get that old history of like swords and like how people fought.
Very
a lot.
tangential. We'll get into it. Harrison, give us a description.
Welcome to the toughest, most violent armored combat competition in the world today. Knife Fight steps inside the world of the Full Contact Armored Combat League, often referred to as Medieval MMA or Night Fight Club. This blood sport is a full contact armored combat league where modern day warriors battle in over 80 pounds of plated armor with real steel weapons. Rooted in historical traditions, for the first time, these knights are set to wage war as each episode features 6 new fighters who customize era-specific armor, garb, and weaponry and engage in numerous battle rounds to see who has the skill and strength to win the ultimate knife fight. Night fight.
Yeah,
Night
it's
fight.
not knife.
I got so close to making through that description, and then I just went with the knife fight.
We'll have to get back to that.
That's night fight on the History
There are
Channel.
no knives in this show,
There
to
are
be
big-
clear.
big-
Unless
knives.
you
Well.
consider a sword a big
A sword
knife.
is not a knife.
But it's kind of a big one, though.
All right.
Is a sword
All right, you got to go to James Internet Corner.
Is a sword a type of a knife, or is a knife a type of a sword?
Ooh.
Wait,
I
I,
don't-
I also have another question. Can this really be called a blood sport when I saw no blood?
Yeah, there was no blood. No one died at all.
But they're
Yeah.
they're wearing too much stuff. You can't see the blood.
I'm calling bullshit.
So this show is just a competition show with 6 people, 1 winner. And to be frank, the fights were kind of boring.
Wow.
I don't know,
Some
man.
harsh words.
What all right.
We have an
James
update.
James has his back from the internet corner.
Chris is wrong, is the short answer.
Okay.
A knife, as defined by the internet, is an instrument composed of a blade fixed into a handle used for cutting or as a weapon.
There you go.
Like a sword, one
There you
might
have it.
say.
Is
That's
that,
a knife.
Is that Wikipedia?
That is Google.
You know,
I saw-
swords, knives, chopsticks.
Nothing
who
in
knows?
there says that.
Are you
whatever.
challenging the internet?
Yeah, I can challenge the internet if I
Seems
want
weird.
to.
So you weren't riveted by every moment of that blood sport?
There was no blood. There was no
There could
blood.
have been.
There was just like old people hitting themselves in the head with a sword.
Some hard hits, though.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some hits that were entertaining. So, like, let's go over what the format of the show is. So,
Yeah.
6 people. They introduce 6 people. Then they have a 6-person free-for-all.
Which
A
is,
melee.
I can't even believe that they structured it this way, but
So there's like 3 people on one side, 3 people on the other. They just like go at it. 3 rounds, 1 minute each. And then the top 3 move on to the next round.
Top 4.
No. Top
Oh,
3
yeah.
automatically go
Okay.
to the next round. Then there's a 3-person free for all where 1 person gets to go on to the next round. Then there's a 2v2 fight where they have to use some sort of period history piece armor and weapons. And then the winner of that goes on to the final round, 1v1, where they can use any of the weapons they got in the last round and their own homegrown stuff, which they're mostly going to, well, they have to use a specific weapon given to them. So,
But
This
any
episode.
armor.
I do wonder if that changes over. Like maybe they're like, oh, in this episode you got to use this crazy shield thing or something.
don't-
But
I think the
it more or
gimmick-
less seems like
the
yeah,
gimmick
like, here's
of-
the weapon. Have a fight with this weapon. Use whatever armor you want.
yeah, the gimmick of the show is definitely going to be check out this crazy weapon and then these people fight with it is really how it's quote unquote history.
But that's like also something Forge and Fire did, where
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, hey, check out this crazy sword. You have to make it.
You don't think that Forge of Fire is also doing that to be quote unquote history?
I'm pretty sure that like a lot of this is just like based out of like one like giant high session. Everybody's like, yo, everybody loves swords, right? Let's make a bunch of shows about swords. And then
Well,
they got a garage.
I don't know. I have to imagine like how these shows come to be on the History Channel is more like hey guys, so this reality TV thing is where like everybody's watching shit for some reason. We can't figure it out, but that's what everyone's watching. We got to do something to keep up with the times because there's only so many documentaries that people want to watch.
It's hard to do reality shows about history.
Right.
Well,
Turns
Pawn-
out. So there you go.
Well, Pawn Stars wasn't cutting it, so
We're moving to this. But this was based on like that there was already a league of armored fighting that like partnered with the History Channel, it sounded like, for this show. So
There are a lot of acronyms that this show really introduces, like the Armored Combat League or the ACL,
They
and the
de-
Night Fighting Club or the NFC.
yeah.
That
They
conflict with a
definitely-
lot of other acronyms.
Yeah, they definitely go hard on that to try and establish the legitimacy of this sport, like up front, which I have no idea how big the ACL is or
Or the
I
NFC.
mean, or if anyone watches it or like what the deal is, but
Well, we know that there's definitely a community because we find out on this show that the people know the big names in the field.
there can't be that many people doing this blood sport. So
So
I mean, have you guys ever done like the Disney World or like I don't know? I did this as a kid, like in Orlando, where there's like the Knights of the Round Table or so. I don't know what the hell it's called, but
The
it's
medieval
basically like
times.
dinner show. Yeah, that's
Medieval
it.
times, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you guys, you've heard of it or at least
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
I've been once.
yeah. But like, it's basically it's kind of this, but not in a reality
Ugh.
show TV.
Yeah.
it's basically
concept.
medieval times, except it's an actual
actual
competition
fight.
instead of like a stage show.
Right.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Like,
that's what I mean. Like,
it's-
there are
it's-
some people that are doing that. I don't know if this is still
Yeah.
like a popular thing.
I
but,
think like it's kind of like the difference between like WWE and like UFC though. I think a little bit where like one of
How
them
so?
is well like medieval
One is
times
staged.
medieval times is a show, it's a
Okay,
stage
okay,
show,
well, sure.
and like these are
Right.
both seem like they're real ass fights. Like these guys seem like they're taking some blows and they're getting pretty tired and like
yeah, like this one, there's a fight to determine the winner.
for sure.
Unlike Middle of Times, which is like, well, this is like the scripted winner
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
but there are kind of more aspects of this too, because it's like you have to build your armor and you have
Oh,
to
yeah.
like choose your sword, and it looks like there are a lot, or like your weapon, and it looks like there are a lot of things you can do to like build your kit. So like in that way, like I don't know,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a cool aspect of it.
That was definitely my favorite part of the show is when they're talking about their kit and customizing it and what it's good for. Like, I definitely wish they would have spent a little more time on some of that
Yeah.
stuff.
All right, so
you know.
let's take it back here to the intro to the show. So we could talk about the tone of this show is just serious. That's the only word you can say about this show. There's no humor, there's no levity. It's these people, they're putting their lives on the line. There's going to be blood. We can't smile. It's all about hitting people and blindsiding people in the back. The only thing is that there's these 5 rules, and that's it.
The rules do seem limited.
Yeah.
You can't hit people on the ground.
Right.
You can't hit people in the back of the knee.
Or the foot or the
You have to
groin.
use blunt weapons.
Blunt weapons. I don't remember the other rules.
And
now.
That's about it.
I think that was it.
most of the like areas that you can't like quote hit were all like kind of in the legs or like groin regions.
Yeah, it was like
it wasn't like don't hit in the back of the head. Like,
Yeah.
back of the head is fair game. Like neck, all that stuff is fine. Like you gotta armor yourself up.
Oh, no stabbing shots.
Oh, yeah,
you
no
couldn't
stabbing.
stab.
yeah.
It just seems like don't break anyone's tendons, please. Because that's why you don't hit some people in the back of the knee, right?
Right.
'Cause
While
you're just-
wearing a suit of armor.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah, because there's like
God.
not much around those joints.
Well, it's just like you
And you're
fall,
heavier,
like
right?
Yeah.
you fall on your knee badly. That knee's not gonna come out right.
They're definitely much more worried about joint injuries than concussions or anything like that.
There's
Not worried at all about
Not a
concussions.
fear in the world.
So there's
No.
a there's
What
a
is
period
that?
in the
That
show
didn't exist.
where they put on a helmet. They're trying on these new helmets midway through the show, and the dude just like, "Yo, hit me," and he's just like, "Bam!" Swacks him super hard.
takes a blunt sword and just bashes them in the head.
We're diving into the minutia.
Yeah, we're in the minutia now, Brian.
We're
We
in
gotta
it.
start
Chris
the
has
intro.
decided.
Do we have to? Do I have to say we're in the minutia?
No. Well, you're also like at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm the host. I do what I want.
The
Man.
almighty host over here.
He's got
Chris
kinda
rolls
like
I'll,
the
I'll
process
roll it
file.
back when it needs to
All
be
right.
rolled back. And when I'm on a tangent, it's fine.
Chris is metaphorically hitting us all in the head with a
Yeah.
a long
Oh,
sword,
with his blunt sword.
with his blunt long sword, and our helmets are ringing.
So the host of the show is former WWE superstar Christian.
Can we get a clarity on this superstar stat? I've never heard of this guy, nor do I really claim to know that much about wrestling. So I don't know if I'm a good
He was
judgment here.
he was in a tag team with Edge when I was watching it. So Christian and Edge.
Edge?
That
He
other
is
guy.
he is. I have a photo of him with like the WWE like belt or whatever. So like he's semi popular.
He's
Like
somebody.
he's not like nobody, but he's not like The Rock. You know.
Yeah.
There's like the A tier. He's probably like B minus probably.
Is
like,
the
he
Rock
doesn't
the
make
most
it-
successful like wrestler or like professional? You know
I
what I mean?
mean-
Like in terms of like
Oh yeah.
fame and like fortune at this point.
I mean, The Rock.
fortune for sure.
I mean, 100%. There's no.
but he's,
it's-
he's like one of
it's-
the world's biggest movies.
Well,
stars.
there's
not even
there's
close.
John Cena.
Right, like
It's
that's what
not
I'm
close,
is,
though.
is like the scale from like a nobody to The Rock, or is there somebody else that
There was
No.
there was like there's probably
Like
like at
Hulk-
least there's
Hulk
probably at least like a
Hogan.
5-10 year span where The Rock is one of like the 3 biggest movie stars like
Yeah.
out there. So
and John Cena's been in like 2 movies?
yeah, John Cena
Like
hasn't
The
really been in any
Marine,
movies.
and like he was in some other movie where he was naked for some reason, and it was some like rom-com. I remember.
It
I
was
don't remember the
Trainwreck,
name of the movie.
right?
What was it?
Trainwreck.
Yeah, that was it. Trainwreck.
Yeah.
Half decent movie.
Okay. Anyway,
There you go.
there's like a picture of Christian in his tag team, and he's got this super long hair, and he's just smiling, and I'm like, there's like he doesn't look anything like that nowadays. Like,
It's been a while.
changed.
he's just changed in the last like 20 years since he was in the WWE.
He's a very serious host.
Very serious, very serious. Then they intro these 6 people, and obviously, Bam Bam, the legend, is the only one that really stands out. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
He's like the winner of some sort of competition. So like they're
the
not
ACL.
they're not pulling in like the schlubs of this sport. They're like pulling in like the prime people.
Well, he said he's a 9-time medalist at the World Championships, 4 of which of those are gold. He said it was something like that. World Championships, National Championships. I don't know if they do World Championships for this insane sport, but whatever
Well-
the highest level is.
Yeah. So like these is probably some of the best fights you'll ever like that you can kind of get. That you can see from the whatever quote unquote sport this is.
Modern day.
No, I just mean like
Yeah.
Right. Like
With the
For-
blunt
I-
here,
weapons.
this would not play out in the same way
Oh,
if
no,
it was
no.
actual fighting.
Also, like these, like the actual people who were fighting these armor sets, like were the most in shape people in the world at that time. Like who were fighting in like in the actual and like these guys. I don't know if these are the most like. There'd be world class athletes who were knights back in the day. I just don't know if these guys were like world class athletes.
well, I don't know at that level. But like
I mean-
when you are like the Lord's son and you're like, well, I'm going to be a knight because you're the Lord's son.
I mean-
that doesn't really preclude like, you just like not being a good athlete and like not giving a fuck.
I guess
really.
that's true. It's just
So
like
you're talking about like the mountain, or you're talking about like the top knights of the round, like whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But like you're just talking about all knights.
I'm just saying, like it's pretty crazy though, because like these guys are so winded after fighting for literally 1 minute. Like these guys fight for 1 minute and they're on their knees, they're dying, and like I gotta imagine in some kind of an actual medieval battle, they're gonna last longer than a minute. And
okay.
like,
But have you ever seen like boxing matches too? Like they're the same way.
no, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
don't think it's just gonna matter. Like you're gonna be winded no matter what, and then
Yeah.
probably like dead in like 30 seconds.
there's a
So it's
reason.
not gonna
Probably
matter.
true.
It's like when you watch like minor league boxing, like when you're like starting in boxing, you're like only doing a round or two, which is like 2 minutes. You're doing like 4 minutes, and you're just as winded as these people.
Yeah.
So like, I think that there is something to say, but these people, they probably have day jobs. They're not just like training 24/7, because that's what you do. Is you train 24/7 to just be able to wear that armor, and you'd be on a horse for most of this. When you fell off your horse, you were kind of fucked because you couldn't really go. Your maneuverability was very low, most likely.
Yeah.
And you'd be like these guys. You'd be super winded just walking.
I don't think everyone's on a horse.
As a knight in
Like,
armor,
the leaders are probably
but the people.
But you also didn't have to be a knight to be in armor. Like, to be clear, like there were
just-
distinguished knights, which we should come back to because like they keep calling these people knights, but like I don't know, you can just call someone a knight because they put on a piece of armor. Like a knight is like an actual thing, like isn't
Like a
it?
title.
Like
yeah,
you-
like
like
you
you've
can
been
still be
knighted.
knighted by like
Sure.
the Queen of England or something, right?
Yeah, for
Like-
sure.
Like that's a whole thing still.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm gonna
imagine-
question that.
I imagine the guys who are wearing this much armor were probably on horses. Like I imagine if you're like walking to battle, you probably have like a lighter kit than some of this.
I don't know.
'Cause, like, I just
all
can't
can base
imagine
this
you
on
can
is
do very
movies
much.
And Game of Thrones,
Sure. Two very good sources.
not great sources.
Yeah, we don't not really qualified to talk about this.
I don't know anything about this.
So if Noah was here, we could have him go in the internet corner. He would actually probably already be in the internet corner.
He's currently in the internet corner. Let's be honest.
Noah, get back to us on the next pod. All right, let's talk about this free for all. This free for all is nuts. There's just so much stuff happening, and you can't tell anything.
like just prior to that round starting, I said, I jokingly said, I hope this is a battle royale because I couldn't imagine that is the format that they would choose for this because it would be too chaotic. And then it was like,
There's
It
just,
was pretty amazing though.
There's just like people getting blindsided in the back of the head, and like people getting kicked in the back, like, and there's just like some straight headshots.
well, like there would be situations where like one guy would be getting either held or beat up by somebody while some other dude just hacks at the back of his head with the full force with his giant broadsword. Like it was so crazy.
It was nuts.
I didn't like it.
I
didn't
did
like the
not
free
like it
battle.
at all. Like
Couldn't
at the
tell what
end,
was happening.
yeah,
Yeah.
at the end of that, there were like the 6 people, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna go over the 3 top." And you're like, "Who?" I don't fucking know. Like, no, like we didn't see anything.
It was an insane thing to see, but it was really hard to keep track of who was who and what was happening.
No idea. Like, I don't understand. I don't.
I kind of thought it was a really strong. It was an explosive opener to this show. I know you can't really tell who's who or what's happening, but it lasted like less than a minute, and it was amazing.
I think
It was pretty cool, and it was also kind of interesting to see, like, because you get some clips of the judges talking. Like, I was fascinated to figure out how they were possibly judging this thing, because like they would have commentary on some of these hits, and they would sort of slow them down, and you'd see like pictures of the 2 men, so you would know who it was, and the man who got hit, his photo would turn red. Like, it was like, I thought it was a pretty exciting experience.
Yeah, I will agree. Like, and so while it was difficult to tell what was happening and who was who, I think on the other hand, this is a pretty strong format to like hook people in initially because there's a bunch of
Yeah.
craziness, bunch of insane hits that maybe in a one-on-one you wouldn't quite see because it would be slower, and all in the span of a minute. So if you're trying to hook people on like insanity,
Yeah.
I think that this does do a job at that. Although, I mean, there's trade-offs.
I thought it was cool because like you got this crazy fight where you don't know what's happening and you sort of get a taste of it, and then they slowly sort of narrow it down because then
Right.
you get these team fights. It's a lot more on the rails, and then it like ends with like a one-on-one death match.
Yeah.
It's almost
So like you
it's
kind of
almost-
learn what's happening.
Yeah, it's almost as if they build it back up. So they
Yeah.
kind of show you what it could be in all the insanity. And then they're like, all right, let's break this down a little bit, add a couple elements at a time, and explain some stuff.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, you're like, oh, okay, I see how this goes.
I think that the one thing that I really, really needed for this whole thing was like, how are you scoring the battles? Like, is it just like, well, he looked good, or like, oh, he got a clean hit in the back of the head, or like he got a clean takedown would make this infinitely more fun to watch. Like, it's just like randomness, no idea who's doing well. You're just like, well, he's wearing a helmet, so like, is it good to hit him in the head because it's not gonna do anything to him? You want to like get him
Yeah.
on the ground, probably.
Yeah,
that
they
seems like a good thing. What is a good thing? Like, if I get under his armor, that seems pretty good. But like,
I think
none of them did that, so I'm like, I don't know.
I think one good thing is like obviously getting on the slow mo reel. Like you make a big hit, like we've seen some takedowns in the slow mo. We've seen some big punches to the head. Like those things like don't hurt, but then like they must have counted for something. And I'm sure like the other thing I'm betting is that like the point, like they may be scoring in the background, but it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like you'll probably see like from like the slow mo reels, like oh yeah, this guy's getting focused on more, so it's probably going to be like these one or two people at least. Third person's a surprise. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Is like I'm watching this and I'm trying to enjoy the battle, but I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know what I'm watching for. Like if you're in boxing, there's like a scorecard, and the scorecard is like hits and like a bunch of stuff. And it seems very obvious what is good and bad. And this, I don't know.
Like,
But to be fair, in boxing and UFC or MMA or whatever, while they are scoring it, in the end they don't break that all down for you on TV, right?
No.
Yeah.
They don't.
But
But
it's
you
clear
could
because you have an understanding.
you could get into it. You could
Yeah.
know. Whereas like this, I guess I could know, but like since no one has ever really watched the sport, let's be honest.
right. Well,
You
but-
think that
but
they would do more of an intro to what is good and what is bad?
Well, I think for both boxing and MMA, you have the announcers explaining what's happening, their opinions, who they think's doing better or worse, right?
Yeah.
Typically, at least
They'll be
And then,
like-
the judges aren't the announcers. The judges are separate, but the announcers are sort of there to be the intermediary, like breaking it down. And this show only had they do have the judges and the host, but there's nobody sort of announcing the play-by-play. So
I
like,
mean,
if
You get a little bit of it. You do
Slight,
get a little
yeah.
bit because it like I just think
It's like,
they
oh, Bam Bam hit the dude in the head,
Yeah.
but they're not like really kind of getting over. Oh, we think he's in the lead because he's got 3 hits and the other guy's got. That's what I think is missing.
Like, I think that there's a couple of big differences here. Like, the major difference I think is that the presentation of this is a reality show, not a sport. Like, they're not even showing the full rounds of these fights. There's not even like enough space for like the commentators to even talk about like the play-by-play of like what's happening. So I mean, like they're optimizing for a reality show, not sport.
But the thing is this show is the sport though.
I'm not saying it's the right decision. I'm just telling you, I think that's why it is. Like,
Well, I'm going to tell you this is going to affect the ratings. Let's get it.
do you think this is the same audience? I just
So-
don't know it's the same audience. I just don't know like the same audience that wants to watch boxing or MMA or even
Yeah.
like wrestling or any sort of
Well, I
similar
just-
thing.
I agree.
Is necessarily the same audience that's
And
watching the History Channel.
I just
reality
don't
TV show.
understand. Like, okay, if you're not trying to go for the UFC crowd, what crowd are you going for? Because this is like, I mean,
So-
let's get to that later. Like, let's talk about ratings because
yeah.
Do you want to get into who do you think the show is for or no?
no. I just want to go. Let's go to the next fight. You guys
Okay,
want to talk
okay,
about the
okay.
actual good fight?
Sure.
The 2v2 fight, which is the best fight.
Good fight.
wow, Chris is coming on with some strong opinions.
Really? You don't think
Oh,
the
you're
2v2
very
fight
lean.
was the best fight?
I think it was the best fight, but I did really enjoy the first fight.
The first
I know you
fight-
didn't. I
first-
thought it was pretty cool.
the first fight was fine to watch.
The
But
first
it,
fight's
like-
a spectacle. to be
Yeah,
clear. It's just a
exactly.
spectacle.
Yeah.
It hooks
I mean,
you in. There's a bunch of craziness, and you're just saying to yourself, "Well, this show's nuts. Let's see what else is going to happen."
yeah.
I was
Right.
just disappointed.
okay.
At the end of it, I was just disappointed. That's all.
I think the only thing that I find a little bit puzzling is that they don't show you more of that fight.
Yeah,
'Cause
you
it
don't,
is weird that they're like the rounds literally last like a minute or a minute and a half, and you see like they cut it down to smaller than that.
Yeah.
You see barely any of it, but you do see
I
some
think
big
it's Harrison's
hits.
point, right? Like he just
Yeah.
called it as like it's a difference in presentation. They're not optimizing for,
sure.
the sport. They're optimizing for the
I
show
mean,
of
like
it.
the stuff that they're cutting out is like one of the dudes just like bending over, huffing and puffing for 30
Yeah.
seconds because he can't move in that armor. I mean, like hopefully they're just cutting out the boring bits and not important bits. But yeah, I don't.
Okay.
so I mean, on that note, it seems like they probably just cut it out because this is actually pretty boring.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's be honest. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
these
might
guys
be a
get
reason they did a
very
super cut
tired.
of this, and then there's,
Yeah.
all right, let's show you the good moments. We'll re-show you the best moments in slow motion. So you can actually see what's happening. But
Yeah.
we're gonna skip over the other 50% that was boring.
the thing is like I don't know who's gonna win without the boring bits,
yeah.
and it makes it not interesting.
Well, I think during those boring bits is when they could have, when the commentators could have provided some more color on
Yeah.
what's happening or what just happened. Like, I think that's kind of why you need some like downtime during the fight. But
It seems like,
I'm also kind of okay with this version because, like, I don't think it is like you're not watching it like a sport when you're watching this show, because they're trying to get a lot in. They're trying to get a lot of rounds in. They're trying to give you some history about the weapons and like about the context. You see some maps of like where people were fighting. We get some references to Braveheart. Like, it's wild. They're getting a lot of stuff in there. Then they show you like the audience. You see some like loved ones. Like, they're putting so much in here. Like, there's definitely no time to go deep on anything.
That's not true. There's 9 minutes of fighting that happens for this show. Well, that's not true. There's 10 minutes of fighting. There's 3 rounds. There's 3 rounds in the first one, and then the tiebreaker was another minute, and then both second fights were 6 minutes.
How long was this show total?
40. It was an hour-long show, so it was like
Was it
40
40
minutes.
minutes?
So
Wait,
like,
the team fights were 6-minute rounds.
well, there were 2 minute and a half
okay,
rounds,
yeah.
and there were 4 rounds combined between
Sure,
the
sure,
2
sure.
But you got to go to
matches.
the armory. You got to
Yeah.
get
There's
suited up.
other stuff you got to do, but to say they can't show me 10 minutes of real time action,
Sure. I mean,
like
they
that's
could show more.
that's not true.
I mean, they've made the director's cut. They've decided that was not as good
It's-
as getting us in the armory.
Yeah, to Harrison's point, it was just them huffing and puffing.
Sure.
Sometimes you saw like 1 or 2 guys just who were able to endure and can still fight, but then they're still like kind of like,
Yeah.
There was definitely
Sure.
a lot of like, I'm pumped. Let me just smack you in the head with a stick here kind of
Yeah.
action.
Man.
Well, and then these rounds end, and the guys like immediately whip off their helmets and like fall to the ground sweating, and like Bam
Well-
Bam like pulls out his oxygen and like starts huffing.
We got to go into this oxygen can. What is this?
It's
This has to be like a real product. I really want to know like who makes it and where can I
You
get it.
could
It's
def-
just like a pressurized can of breathable oxygen.
You could definitely buy this on Amazon right now.
100%.
I
Oh
promise. you.
man,
Internet corner.
this is like an action sports.
I'm
I
just-
can't believe I haven't seen more of this.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
Why have I
order.
it
not
seems
seen
like-
this in like the X
yeah.
Games and shit? Like, what's going on?
None of them are as winded or as out of shape as
No, definitely not.
So you're telling me these other world class athletes don't need the same oxygen cans?
Well, I
that,
mean,
that Bam
like-
Bam needs.
You definitely see in like the NFL, like you get some bigger guys in the NFL, like they're
Well, they're
definitely
huffing
they're
oxygen.
definitely sitting on the benches huffing oxygen. Like, I mean, it's not the same
That's what I'm
canister.
saying. Like, I
but
can't believe like some company is not like partnered with the NFL, like selling these cans of oxygen. Like, how is this not more of a thing?
breathe like the pros.
Yeah, that's what
Wait
I'm
for
saying.
your workout.
Breathe like Bam Bam. That's a Bam Bam can.
All right,
He's
so
selling
let's
it.
go into this. So after this melee rounds, whatever bullshit, we're done talking about that. I don't care. Moving on. So they set up this next fight as a 14th century Scotland versus England.
17th century, I think.
17th century.
I think it was 17th
it was. I
century.
think it was
no?
14th century.
14th century.
I thought it was
Okay,
14.
okay.
Because 17th century, there'd be some guns going on here.
I guess, yeah,
Harrison.
yeah.
We were talking pre-guns.
Okay.
So 14th century Scotland versus England, particularly the Braveheart battle. So whenever that was, that'll end the debate. Doesn't matter.
Right.
So-
Braveheart.
Braveheart. So one person gets a sword and a shield. One person gets a long sword, and they have to use other armor, which is kind of interesting because armor has to like be really kind of custom fit to the wearer of the armor. So it's, they have armorers, they go to this armory and each team gets its own armorer, and like that's pretty nuts. I can't believe that they did that. Like
I
That was
love the
good.
fact there's this armorer dude that's just there, like
So
custom
good.
tailoring these suits and fixing shit, and it's great.
yeah,
Well, this
gotta-
is when we got that scene of like they put on the helmets to test him out,
Yeah.
and then like just
Whack
out
him
of
in the head.
nowhere, the armorer like tested out by hitting him on the head.
The armorer knew exactly what to do. There was no like, are you ready? The guy just put on his helmet and the dude just thwacked him in the side of the head. Like,
and then
And
he
then kept doing it.
then he thacked him twice as hard. There was just like a good thack, and then it was like a really good one. And I was just like, I hope you're wearing earplugs in there, dude. That does not seem good.
it
he
looked
definitely
awful.
said his ears were ringing.
Yeah. Sounds like you definitely get some sort of concussion vibes from some of these shots.
your head's definitely rattling around in that helmet. Like, it doesn't look that secure.
What is this CTE of this sport?
I bet very low because like if you lose, you're just dead. So like, there's no time to get like these long term concussion like problems.
There's
right?
no one's dying in this sport.
Well, like in today, you mean?
I meant this sport, not like back. We're not talking about
The Armor League.
Four-
Well, like,
14th
when you
century.
say like the actual sport of like night fighting, I assume you mean like the actual.
no.
time
No,
of
no,
that.
I'm
no.
talking about this actual sport. These people pretend to
that's true.
play.
He's talking about the ACL.
Okay, the ACL.
The
The ACL's
ACL.
probably got some head trauma problems.
For sure.
Like, there's no way I'm signing up for the ACL. There's no way. 0%.
Yeah, really, the talent pool in the ACL has really been dropping since parents aren't letting their kids sign up for the ACL. It's just there's a lot of concussion concerns.
Is this just like
Yeah.
you're a nerd and you like swords in your backyard, and this is just you just kind of gravitate toward this?
It totally feels like these guys like were pro LARPers
I was just
and like went to those like conventions or whatever every weekend and then got really into this part of it. Like that's kind of like what I was thinking this might have come from. Because I don't know how you discover this other than something like that.
I totally agree. These guys mostly come up through the LARPing situation. Yeah, must have been.
And then I think you also have to have a genuine interest, like obviously in the sporting aspect of it, but like you definitely like love like the actual equipment and like customizing like your set. I feel like the sort of collecting and like customizing was a big part of why they're into it.
I
Oh,
think that
definitely
it's-
the
it's-
build out of this is
Yeah.
huge. Like,
Yeah.
you have to be into it.
gotta
Maybe a
stack your
history
deck.
buff or just really affectionate to this, period of time or this like style of whatever.
I feel like to me this whole situation reminds me a lot of like battle bots, like in this
Yeah.
kind of weird way where it's
Yeah.
just like these dudes fucking built this robot or this suit of armor like in their garage and like have tried to make it like the deadliest like set that they can and like
It's cool.
yeah, it's cool.
Lies.
Where do you think they keep their suits of armor at home?
They're definitely displayed, hung up in like the entryway. They're definitely on display.
I don't know. I question that.
I don't
Really?
And
know.
if you're making this kind of shit, like your garage is just full of all kinds of metal and shit.
No,
yeah,
I'm sure
I bet
it
you have a
is.
crazy like shed
prob-
or
you
Workshop
garage.
is just nuts.
You might have one like in your house, but not the one you currently
Maybe not the
go with.
functional one. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a retired suit of armor.
Well, the one dude at the end here, I question this because he had like some sort of harness set up, so it wasn't like trying to be any period accurate. He was just like, "Well, I need to distribute the weight, so I'm going to do it this weird way that no one really would have done."
Yeah, this was a fascinating scene because this is like when the armorer is like, so in the final battle, like you get to decide what of your armor you want to use and what of like the armor from the last round you want to use. So the armorer is sort of like having a consultation with this guy to like help him choose his set, and like the fighter buddy shows him his set, and he's like, "This is the craziest configuration I've ever seen," which is also interesting because like how many guys is this man consulting? Like, where is he a professional armorer? He's like, this is the craziest one I've ever seen.
Yeah, because it's just not a normal set.
But what is like, how do these guys learn how to do it? Like, how many, where are the blueprints online for how to make the best one?
You just buy a set.
Well, he made parts of that.
I mean,
No
he
doubt.
made the whole setup.
Yeah.
But I don't think he shaped the metal.
Well, I don't think he blacksmithed
Yeah, he doesn't
it,
have to be the
but
smith.
yeah, but he definitely like hooked up the harness that's like holding it on his body. And
Yeah,
then the armorer was like, have you ever thought about adding a strap here to like distribute the weight? And Buddy was like, that's a good idea.
I love that.
I've been trying to crack this code for years.
Well, I like how he's like, that might work.
That might work.
He's like, wow, this is after he does it. This is great.
Yeah,
I don't have
it's
any weight
amazing.
problems now. Everything just feels like I'm not even wearing it.
So like what sort of limitations do you think they have on like what you can use as armor in this? Like does it have to be like historically accurate? Like if I wanted to strap like a football helmet on like for this thing, could I do that? Like what's the
What
So I
about
had the same question this entire time I was watching
Yeah.
the show, which is they call it armored combat lead, firstly, which already kind of irks me in the form of you could you have armor today in modern fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really struggle with like what are the bounding like lines of this or rules to like kind of your point, right? Like does it have to be historically accurate? Does it have like clearly no? Like what metals can you or can't you use? Like is there a reason I can't just use a bunch of like composite metals and stuff that are way
like-
lighter, way stronger?
like
Like you could build some insane shit with today's tech.
Yeah, you could have like the fucking Batman suit or whatever. And, like it'd be
I mean,
nuts.
it's gotta
like,
be like modeled after a certain period, is what I like can
It
only
must be.
assume.
What-
Although I really like this idea of like modern day Batman suit fighting competition. We make that show.
I feel also like you would, if you're just brawn it right now, where you just like don't wear any armor, you'd win you'd beat all these people. Like,
No, dude, you getting hit with those blunt
boy.
weapons without
Yeah.
any armor on?
I mean, if you take one hit, it's like I think that you could win the one like the 1v1 maybe, but in the melee,
melee
it's-
probably be a little difficult, but
Yeah.
like,
I don't know, man. Once you take one hit, though, like
yeah, but you just walk to the other side of the freaking thing. Like, they can't run and catch you. They can't move.
So you're really banking on speed.
Yeah, you
I
just,
mean, that's a
you
strategy.
you could just walk. Like, you
I don't know if there's
know,
a rule that says you have to wear the armor, is there?
it's armored,
armored
combat.
Yeah, but like, what if
I
you
have-
choose to go in naked? Like, you know,
I have
This is my
I have
armor.
the internet. I have an answer for you.
the
Okay.
internet's a lie.
So this is the official Armored Combat League, a large PDF file that they give all their rules in. So Section 1, Equipment. Section 1.1, Armor. A fighter's armor consists of 3 layers. Primary armor. Head, neck, torso, arms, and legs, and hands must be protected by steel and must be analogous to historic originals. And then there are several pages explaining for each of those body parts, kind of like.
Okay,
what
but
the
high
guidelines
level,
are.
it's steel and mostly historically accurate, more or less.
So that's the first layer. The secondary layer is like all the stuff you wear underneath it must aesthetically match historic analogs. And then, the private layer is
Uh-oh.
the private layer is hidden supplemental protection such as modern athletic groin protection, knee braces, can be worn to enhance safety.
You gotta wear
These
some kind of
items
groin
must
protection.
be-
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
You're an idiot if you're not wearing a cup in this thing.
Totally. These
Like-
items must be completely hidden and must not distract from the medieval appearance of the combatant and must be under the other 2 layers. So that's the whole.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah, okay. So it's more or
Yeah.
less like what we kind of assumed. There's some basic guidelines here that you have to follow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And then there's like a bunch of rules about like weaponry and shields and all this
Sure.
stuff. There's definitely like
But it seems like it's probably
a
along
pretty
those similar
strictly
lines.
yeah.
Yeah.
So notice how we have like not talked about any of these fights. Like, there's just like nothing to really
What do
talk
you-
about.
The one
Like-
guy hit the other guy. The other guy
like,
hit that
like
guy.
Bam Bam is just like owning everybody, and like that's like it. Like that's this whole. He's the best person on the field for sure.
Well, there are
mean,
definitely a few
yeah.
moments that really stand out.
Uh-huh.
Like there's a
definitely some
moment
highlights.
like I think my favorite moment is in the final battle between Bam Bam and Buddy where they're like using these like long I forget what the name of the crazy weapon is they have to use in the
something with an
final
M. It was like a mutator. It's not a mutator, but something.
a mutant. It's like a big sword with
It's a
it's
serrated
supposed to be
sword on the
like
tip.
serrated on the tip, but like in this format it's all rounded.
Yeah.
But so they're like using these like big swords, and then there's a moment when like Bam Bam like hits Buddy in such a way that he knocks the sword out of his hands.
when he
and
disarms
then
them, it's great.
it's incredible, and we're all like watching. We're like, what's he gonna do? Like, is he gonna like lie on the ground so he can't hit him? Whatever. Like, how's he gonna pick up his sword? Like, Bam Bam's gonna destroy him. And then like he clearly thinks about it, and he like looks down at his sword, and then he looks up at Bam Bam, and then he just puts up his fists and like and like runs at him. Like that was like that's a pretty amazing. That was amazing.
I
could-
was cheering. when he
yeah,
pulled
we
those
were
fists up.
freaking
I
out.
couldn't
Great.
believe it when that happened. I like the intensity in that
It
moment.
was so good.
What is this fighting league? So you disarm this dude.
Right. Why is the
And
fight
you're
not
not,
over?
and you're not just like running in and like hitting him over the head like 1,000 times. Like you're just like sitting there staring at him now. Like
It seemed like Bam Bam was trying to be a little bit courteous and not
Gentlemanly.
just whack the shit out of him with that giant sword.
this is no
I think he
MMA
was
fight.
waiting for him to pick that sword up so he could
Yeah.
just slash him in the head.
Yeah,
Totally.
He's like, what are you gonna like? 'Cause
I
you're
think
like,
he- yeah.
you have to make calculated moves here, right? You're wearing a shitload of weight of armors. Like some of these suits are 30, 40 pounds or whatever.
Like
More than
80.
that.
Yeah,
Didn't,
like
didn't
there's-
one say like 60
you're wearing
to
a lot
80?
of weight. You're moving slow, limited mobility. So like you're not just trying to run around and make a bunch of crazy moves. You're playing. You're picking your moments.
Yeah.
I think the move that I really want to see Bam Bam do is he edges up and he picks up that other dude's weapon too and just two weapons it.
Two
like,
two-handed
You
weapons.
cannot.
Why would you try to pick up another one? You already have a weapon. That dude doesn't have a weapon. Why would you
I just-
open yourself up?
I just want to see him get all General Grievous in this situation.
Just not gonna happen.
That's how you lose the fight, Harrison.
Man, that was so good.
Okay.
There are other good moments too, like in the 2v2 one. Like there are some amazing moments where like it's like two little guys versus two big guys, and the little guys are being wily, and and then sometimes the big guys both gang up on one of the little guys. Like, it's pretty exciting.
The 2v2 is the most exciting.
It was quite good.
There were some like interesting strategies that goes in of like distractions, or one guy would kind of stumble, he sees that, and then would just go run over and blindside the other dude. And,
Yeah, there was actually strategy that you could see. That was not just like block, hit. Like, those are obviously strategies that are happening, but we can't see them. They're not talking about them.
Yeah.
So like, you've got to really be looking for that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, you can see strategy of some guy like, oh, let me double team this guy and like, let me blindside that guy, which it seemed like in this 2v2 fight.
Yeah.
The like smaller guys definitely big on the blind side. And it was very questionable to us who won this
Oh, 100%.
at the end.
Yeah.
Because like they showed us a lot more of the small guys winning. And
the
it,
small guys definitely. I mean, like, I think the first part of the fight where everybody has energy and the small guys are doing this, like, that was the most exciting to watch. And then at the end, the big guys are just sort of like trouncing them, but it doesn't look as good because they're just sort of hitting them over the head over and over.
it's so weird. Do you get points for that? I just so like I don't understand.
I guarantee you're getting points for every time you're
Gotta.
hitting. Like,
But see, this is kind of the part of the problem of the show that I have, which is it's unclear, like how historically accurate you need to be or whatever, or like how are you being successful in the battle, right? And so what I mean by that is there's moments where I think in the last battle, I think it was Bam Bam, literally puts both hands on the sword. So one hand's on the handle, which is a reasonable place to put it. The other is on the blade.
Yeah.
And if this blade was like, actually not blunted, it would be incredibly sharp. And they were just talking how it would tear through flesh and all this shit.
Yeah.
But he's two-handing this thing to block. And I just feel like that just feels so non-effective. But in this case, like, because it's blunted, I guess it's fine to do that.
I mean, like,
it's just kind of like, at what point are you just fighting with a blunt stick? Like, why does it matter what the weapon is?
I think it's legal to do that, but like they talked about how they're also being judged like on technique. So I think that you probably lose some
Yeah.
technique points if you're doing stuff like that. That'd be my guess, but
Okay.
I don't
Because
know.
definitely a big part of the technique is like like how historically accurate you
yeah.
are. Like that's
like part of that
definitely-
last sword, right? Like, the whole point of it was that it shreds through the hardest of armors because it's serrated and like this incredibly
Yeah.
long thing. So you would get on the armor and rip it open, get flesh wounds, etc. But even if you did that in this battle, I don't think that it would help you because it was all about the hits.
Yeah.
And so you kind of like lose out on
It was a very odd weapon to do in this fight because
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, so you could tear into armor, but
But you can't do that because it's blunted.
We blunted
So like, what's the point?
Well,
I'm
the
with you.
point is like teaching us about a cool sword, I think,
Yeah.
because it's a show,
It's
and like
history.
I think they fight with it in the same way they would with like another big like two-handed sword. I thought it was cool. I'm
That's
not
fine.
down on that.
That's
I
fine.
thought it was cool. Like
I'm down.
obviously, if it's a real fight, they can't use these actual swords. Like I get that.
Yeah, but other swords might actually affect how people like would battle. Whereas like this sword was just like, well, it's a two-handed sword now.
Yeah.
There's
But, like,
nothing
but
special about it.
Again, like what James was saying, I do think that they're probably getting more like technique points if they've used that sword in the right way for that sword. Like I think the judges would reward that because I think the judging. I got the sense that the judging is like there are a bunch of like kind of hits that you can do in blocks that they care about, but I do think it's like there's this subjective component because it's sort of like the whole point of this is it's a spectacle. It's in this like big ring. Like I think it's like about how good of a show you put on, like how much of a medieval times kind of situation you get.
Style points.
Yeah, I think there's some big style points.
I don't know.
Nah.
Yeah,
I
it's
just-
not explained in detail, so we'll not know. But I do
Sure.
agree. Like it feels like that's what they're trying to portray.
Like you're saying it's more like a WWE spectacle versus an MMA fight.
No, I think it's a
saying,
real.
like-
I think that what I'm hearing, like Harrison,
Because it's
Evans
not
saying, like
scripted.
like the judges, while they're not explaining this to you, are like giving or docking points based on how effective or like accurate you're being. So in the case of the example I was saying, where you're like using the sword in the wrong way, maybe that's actually hurting your score versus helping.
Yeah, I get that. Whereas like when you're at MMA, you're just trying to win. You're doing everything you can to win.
You get docked points too, same as in boxing, right? Illegal hits, illegal blows.
yeah,
like
I mean,
whatever.
there's illegal stuff can happen, but
Yeah.
in this, I don't know. I can't talk about this stupid fights anymore. Like, there's nothing to say.
I was definitely happy that When this show started, I was a little bit worried that we were about to be in for like 6 or 7 one-on-one fights, and I'm like, this is gonna be a long show. Like, if we have to watch 6 or 7 one-on-one night fights, it's gonna be a
About
long
bunch of
show.
people that you don't know anything or like care about. really.
Yeah, exactly. So I was definitely happy that they had a bunch of different formats and they kind of changed up because, like, as predicted, like the one-on-one fight was definitely the least interesting of all of them. I mean,
It's true.
the slowest pace, like.
We did watch that UFC show, and it was like pretty slow because it was all like one-on-one fights.
Yeah, for sure.
because it was essentially just watching the sport. I wonder
Right.
if this sport was like these formats, or is it all just one-on-one?
Like, when
What do you mean? Like
The
the
ACL.
actual
The
ACL?
When
you show
Oh no, I think the actual ACL is like probably 1-on-1 or like 2
Because the
on 2.
one-on-one here definitely was the most boring
it'd be like,
for obvious reasons.
it'd definitely be cool if when you show up to one of these ACL tournaments, if it actually is this format of like, all right, we got 20 dudes, it's battle royale time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Let's see who hangs in here.
I don't
We're
know,
gonna
it
cut
seemed
half
like-
the
It's just not
people.
the best way to determine who's the best at it. So like it depends. Are you going for spectacle or are you going for sport? If you're going for sport, that's
Yeah.
not the best way to determine the best.
I don't know. I don't know. They're
You
going
mean
for.
you know it's not.
I don't know what they're going
They're
for.
different.
Oh,
They're
I'm
diff-
not. Wait, I've got the internet. Can I give you an internet fact?
Anna
I was like,
Bam Bam has the internet corner here.
Well, I went back to my 42-page document that's up on my phone right now, and we're not gonna go over anything in detail. But I
Each
went to
page.
the
Each-
table of contents, and there are categories about there are like lists of the different categories that of fights. There is 3v3 melee, 7v5 or no, sorry, 5v5, 10v10, 16v16.
Yes.
I like it. I like it.
And then there are duels, singles, some other kind of duel.
Yeah, no one wants.
But
to
there's
watch
no
those.
but there's no free for all battle royale in there at all. This is like an invention for this show.
I'm sure.
It seems like
That
it.
10v10
But
though.
16v16.
16?
16.
Oh yeah.
That
That's just pure
sounds
chaos.
incredible.
No, but like 16-16 is more legitimate to like what would have happened,
Yeah, absolutely. But
right?
like
Could you imagine like a 100 versus 100 battle?
it
of
just like
this?
escalates the problem of like the free for all. Like you don't
Oh,
know like
yeah.
where to focus on. You're just like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely interesting. So, first of all, I'm definitely gonna look this up on YouTube.
I wanna see
immediately after
that.
this podcast. And I'm
So
gonna watch a
exciting.
16 versus 16 ACL fight.
Why the hell is the Drone Racing League on ESPN and not this?
I don't know. One time, like I stumbled across this thing on YouTube called Team Fighting, and I don't know if you know about this, but it's basically UFC, but it's like 5-on-5, and it's fucking crazy.
I think
and
I've
it's
seen a
basically
video.
it's basically
Ooh.
like it kind of like it breaks off, and they all kind of like match up like one-on-one. But then as soon as like somebody takes somebody out, then it just gets very lopsided very quickly because then that person
Yeah.
2-on-1 somebody and it just kind of keeps snowballing from there to the point where at some point at the end
dudes
it's
is
5
beating
dudes
somebody
beating one guy up. So I imagine that's going to happen in this situation
Yeah,
too.
That's what I was thinking. Just
Oh
like
my god.
16v16 is just got a lot more teamwork involved because like it can't just be like going one-on-one. There's no one-on-ones really. It's just gonna be like trying to position in the right
Yeah.
to get like an advantage against them.
There's definitely some strategy that's going to come.
There's a
into
lot
play.
more strategy involved.
We're going to definitely watch this.
I have one comment about the show left. There was a spot where they were telling us who won the 2v2 battle. And they were like, the winner of the 2v2 battle is commercial. And it's just no. This is fucking 2019. No.
And you mean every other TV show also
I
does
just
this?
toyed not every show does it. And we're watching the commercials here, so like it really sometimes we don't watch the commercials, so I don't know. But like here, terrible. Just
Oh, I'm with you. Don't get me wrong.
Like,
I
you
hate that
don't
shows
need
do
to
that, but, like,
have-
every show does this.
but
Every show.
I'm sure there's a lot of shows that do it. I can tell next time I'll make sure that I say it because like this really
No, you
bothers
gotta
me.
find the show that doesn't do it. That like doesn't do the pause, hesitation, hook. You know.
Yeah, but usually it's like
Cliffhanger.
in the middle of the action, or like it's not generally at the end when they're like, the winner is cut.
Oh, yeah, they do. All
What
the
show?
shows do this.
Every show.
I mean, like
I just watched
Survivor.
America's Next Top Model on the
They don't
plane,
do
and they
Survivor.
definitely
Survivor
do
does
it.
not do it.
They don't do like, all right, and this week off the island, it's gonna be. We're gonna find out in a moment.
No, they don't do that.
I mean, like the show that actually started was like American Idol, and like they were notorious for that, like, and we'll find out about this after the break, and yeah,
Yeah, I don't. There's no we don't need recaps, and we don't need these like sharp cuts to keep me coming back on the next break. If your show's not good enough, forget about it.
Get
I
out of
don't
here.
think they did any recaps actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah,
The
they didn't
recap,
do
no, as
recaps.
we were saying, like
Yeah.
recaps would definitely set you back to 2000 and
Oh, I agree.
And,
But
like,
I actually think
12.
the show didn't do any recaps.
no,
right?
no, there wasn't any
Yeah,
recaps.
yeah.
It was just this weird cut thing. That
Oh,
I
they
was
definitely
like-
did the commercial pause at the most annoying time every time.
Yeah. Also, that's sometimes the on-demand also has weird commercial breaks that aren't on the actual commercial breaks, but this definitely seemed like a legit commercial
This
break.
is, seems how they do it.
Does anyone else have anything they want minutia they want to talk about?
I mean, I liked so there was first of all, as I said earlier, I like a lot of the kit stuff, a lot of the hey, let's work with the armor to customize this. One of my favorite lines from the show is when Bam Bam is talking with his armor and he's looking at he's like, oh yeah, like are these your gauntlets? And he's like, yeah, these are my gauntlets. He's like, yeah, they're kind of flat from punching guys. Can you straighten that out? Can you fix that for me? He's like, yeah, I think we can do something about that.
That was pretty good.
That was great.
Oh, I do have another thing written down. So as like, I think it was the 2v2 they announced like, or the 1v1, they showed some of the people in the crowd that were there for the people. And it was like, there was the fiance and the dude was like, yeah, I guess I'm her knight in shining armor. Like literally.
It's really good.
We
It's really good.
And a Bam Bam really liked that one.
That made me laugh a lot. It's very funny because, as I said, every woman wants a literal knight of shining armor.
yeah.
You definitely want guys with lots of concussions. CTE is great.
Man.
Mrs. Bam Bam watched her husband just slaughter these men.
I mean, if
There's no
if you have
there's
to,
no greater turn on than watching your man brutally beat another man.
you laugh.
And then
but-
Yeah.
swig from his own oxygen tank.
Laugh like it's not a thing, but it's definitely
Yeah.
a thing for some people.
Wait, was I the only one that got aroused then?
All right. Let's
I have one more
Okay, I
thing.
was
If
just
you'll
gonna go-
allow me one more thing before the ratings. I think that an important point that we talked about a bunch when we were watching we missed is that Buddy and Bam Bam are the two final guys. Bam Bam is Buddy's like hero to the point where he has Bam Bam's photo in his bathroom for motivation, basically. Like Bam Bam is a known figure, prominent figure in this world, and he is Buddy's idol. So like there's this whole kind of subplot around he has to face off against his idol, and then he just gets the shit beat out of him by him.
But
It's
he's
great.
he's okay losing to his idol.
Yeah, for
he's
sure.
he's like the punches that guy throws.
He was just
The
excited.
confessionals were definitely interesting in this case.
Yeah.
He was just excited to get to fight against that dude.
That was good. And then Bam Bam's confessionals were also just off the chain because Bam Bam was so confident and just like completely unshakable. He had no fear at all that he was going to destroy this guy.
I mean, I think that when you're in this world, like you have seen all of whoever the best people are. Like if you're Bam Bam, so you know the people that are there, and you know that you're gonna run through all these people. Like I've got to think.
Yeah, I mean that 2v2 battle. I don't know.
It was close. It was close. But
Like,
the only reason that it was close is because Buddy let his guy get away from him, and Bam Bam got blindsided in the back twice.
Well, we don't really know exactly what.
Or
So, like-
something happened.
That one does kind of mix it up though when they make them wear this different armor. Like I assume that really changes the game for you if you're so used to
Definitely.
competing in this one like armor and,
And
this
you've
like
optimized that
and your
armor over
weapon.
time,
Totally.
right? Like you've built this thing to be like, okay, this
Yeah.
is the best for this type of battle.
The
blah, blah,
thing
blah.
is, if you're this show and you've got the number one guy from this sport and everyone else is a nobody, like how could you not have him be in the one-on-one fight?
Yeah. Well, I wonder
Well,
if we
yes.
got just a very ill-weighted show because like I can't imagine they have a Bam Bam every episode.
Well, he'll be in the final now, right?
Yeah.
But I think I said this at the end of this, which was it really makes me question how true they're being with the winner, the air quotes winner of this fight, all the fights really, because they know that they have the best guy here. And so, like, if you're a producer on the show, you want to be advertising, like, hey, this Bam, he's the best guy. Like, he's going to be in the final thing. Who's going to face him? Blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a whole build-up there that you could do. and it's to your advantage to have the best guy in the sport be in the final.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I agree
If he gets
with
knocked
that.
out, I don't know that it's very interesting.
Because I think during this episode they built up a pretty good story about like him being Buddy's idol, and I think that would have been a really good story too.
The
Is to
overcoming,
have the underdog defeat his idol and then like go on like it's the guy who beat Bam Bam.
The
Like, I
thing
think you
is-
could do that too.
Is Buddy was never going to win. It was that 2v2
Yeah, it
fight that
definitely
were,
didn't look
were
like Buddy
very
was better.
concerned that it was very questionable.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm going to give my rating now. It's going to be
Let's wait for the shocker.
bottom third. I don't get it. I
Doesn't get it.
What?
It doesn't get it. Bucket.
It's just boring. It was
Better or
boring.
worse than Celebrity Apprentice?
It's better for sure.
Okay, so it's not the bottom of the
It's
bottom.
definitely not bottom of the bottom. No. A is boring, so it gets the bottom third because it was boring. And then B, I don't know the rules. You didn't show me all of the stuff. And if you did show me all the stuff, that would probably be even more boring. So I'm glad you didn't. But like, I don't
What you
know.
want here, Chris.
I just want you to do better. I don't know. I'm not the producers.
I just don't think that Chris likes night fighting. Really.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
I mean, that's if you don't like. Night
I mean,
fighting,
there's
this
a
is-
reason why I don't watch night fights. So
It's because we didn't know about it,
nah.
and now we do.
I'm sure if it was good, it'd be on Reddit and it would be like some sort of like short GIF that would be interesting that no one's done. It's like, have you ever really watched really professional wrestling? Because that shit's real boring. Because it was on at an airport that I was at, and it was like, I could see why this isn't a real thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But what if they had armor?
I was going to interject a quick question here to say, like, would you rather watch this in this reality show format, or would you rather watch this in like the presentation of like a boxing match?
I'd much rather watch the presentation. Like, this is, at least with the presentation wise, like, I'm getting the real entertainment value out of this, where it's like they're real people. There's like a winner and a loser, and I know the judging seems real, and like I get to see it all. I don't know. I'd probably have to see both, but
You
Wait,
see-
you're
which one do
saying
you
which
want?
one do you
I
want?
want I want to see the professional people.
Okay, you want to see the ACL.
you want to see it presented like a boxing match?
Yeah, like a boxing
Okay.
match. Like to watch the lead up the headliner of that would be much more entertaining than this, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I think
All right.
I would love to watch.
Aaron
this one
Harrison,
too. Yeah.
what's your rating?
Oh man, I'm really torn on this one. Like, it's right. It's right in that border between middle and bottom third. I mean, the only thing that I'm even thinking would put this in the middle third for me is that like I'm considering watching the last episode of the season to see what like the Battle of the Titans like pans out to be or whatever. I don't know. I think it's got to be I think probably lower third, bottom third show. I think it's
Oh,
gonna be
man.
bottom third show. I don't know. Like I agree. I think it's hard. Like I think that the sport of night fighting is maybe not particularly compelling. I do like that they had some different fight formats. If it was all one like 1v1s, it would be a clear bottom third. Like the fact that they had some of the 2v2s and the melees, like I was kind of into that. I like the stuff about the armor customization and like more of that kind of stuff. So I would have liked to have seen some more time spent on some of that, but yeah, I don't know. Bottom third.
There you go.
What do you got for us, James?
So I'm going to deviate a little bit. I think the show's solidly right in the middle. There's some things they do well and some things where they can improve. I think the challenge is obviously, as mentioned, is that like night fighting is kind of tough to cover. It's a very error specific in things. But on the more positive side, I found that like I learned a little bit. I found it to be pretty interesting and entertaining to watch with other people. I liked a lot of the like aspects of the weaponry and the armory like pieces. Like just kind of understanding this a little bit was kind of interesting. But ultimately, I think the show faces the challenge of just like rewatchability, and for me, like it's going to be very poor on that. Like I can't imagine really going out of my way to watch more of this. And I think with the way that it is, there's not like next week because it's going to be all new people, right? So there's not really an investment in the people either. So I think that's kind of what hurts it, keeps that out of being better. But I think, all in all, pretty well. Like production was pretty good. I don't really have any major complaints with the host or the judges or anything like that. So it's right in the middle for me.
Annabeth, what do you got? Or Anna Bam Bam?
Anna Bam Bam Beth. I think I agree like pretty strongly with James. Like I think the show's pretty solid. Like I don't really care to watch the whole season, but like it's a good show. Like I like the armory, I like the history. Like this is something I didn't know existed. I'm sort of charmed that it's covered in this way. It's kind of exciting. I like the little character bios of the people. In a way, the format, I think, like it's kind of like that rock show. It's like the rock show where there's like a winner every episode, and then there's going to be like a smackdown at the end. And I felt sort of the same way about that show, where like I don't think I need to watch every episode, but I'm kind of curious about like what the grand finale of Night Fight looks like. Like that's intriguing to me. So I think I don't know. I think it's a solid middle. I enjoyed watching it with other people.
Brian, what do you got for us?
So I also agree it's in the middle of the middle. As a quick side note, I kind of wish we didn't watch like episode 1 of this.
We
Essentially,
watched episode 2.
yeah, I don't know what happened with episode 1.
It wasn't on demand. I don't know what you want from me. I'm not buying this show.
No, no. I figured it just like was taken down because I don't know.
Oh, like
But
you meant like it went dark or it's like missing from the internet. Or
Yeah,
something.
I don't think it's missing from the internet. I think if we went to Amazon, we could have bought it.
Someone
But-
died in that episode. They can't have it on TV.
It's a blood sport.
So like the reason I say that is because we watched this and we're like, okay, like we see these flaws, but then I've also like continued some of these shows and they've improved on it. Sometimes they've gotten worse too, but they've definitely like responded to feedback in some way.
I just don't think they're going to respond in season 1. Like season 4, maybe. I don't know.
That's way too long.
I just don't think that they're ever going to fix the issue. I mean, that's just my end. I don't know.
But in any case, I do love the history part of it. I really like the fighting. Like there was a lot that I could actually see in it. It may not have been like graded, but I was like, okay, now I know like some things to look out for, and I'm going to continue watching it.
Oh man!
nice.
Wow.
A
Nice.
middle third, and you're going to continue watching.
It's a very casual show to me. Like I pick up some knowledge, and then I can also like watch a quick fight.
Brian hit on something important there, which is like this is not like a stressful show or a show that like really needs to fully consume you. It's like I do think this would be like a pretty half decent
I just don't
background show.
think you're
Yeah.
going to get anything out of the background. Like it's going to be on the background, and it's going to be so serious. You're going to be in a serious mood.
No,
Like, there's-
I thought it was pretty. I think it's pretty lighthearted.
Yeah, I thought this was also pretty light. For
Yeah.
some reason, this really stressed Chris out.
the dude was
Surprised.
super serious. He's like, "Get ready, we're gonna fight.
Oh, yeah.
Ready, fight!" Like
I mean,
the
the fight
announcer,
announcing was
the
great.
announcer
Oh,
is
very
super
good.
serious. And people like the thing. Why you think it's light is because we're sitting here laughing at these people. Like there's no laughter in this show. There's no.
like I don't think I was
no.
laughing at the person. I
Yeah.
just liked how into it he was, and I find that enjoyable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was really excited to watch these fights.
I got a different vibe here. I'm actually not a huge fan of this format, to be honest. It is like the same format as like all these like Ninja Warrior esque shows, where it's just like you have the same show but different people, and it's just like not that entertaining.
It's all just like a qualifier, and then there's a
Yeah.
final, and it's hard to hook on that.
Yeah, but I bet like the equipment's gonna be different, and that's like where
Yeah.
I think the rewatchability with this show, the only part of it that really comes in because the people don't hook you because they won't be there, but is like, oh, what's next week's weapon gonna be, or like, what's gonna be the team battle, like, piece.
Yeah,
and with
totally.
different weapons is hopefully gonna come different fighting styles too.
Oh yeah,
So that would be
imagine.
yeah.
Well, and I
just
also
don't
feel
think
I
so.
got the sense that like this is a show where like by the end of it, like Brian said, like I definitely picked up some of the things they were looking for, and I imagine after watching a whole season of it, like you at least have a sense of like some of the good moves before they tell you.
I'm gonna go in and I'll report back.
Thanks, Brian.
You gotta let me know if they ever do a joust,
Ooh,
because that'd be something.
There's no way they're jousting, but I guarantee you there's some jousting based reality show we could watch. Like I
Oh,
guarantee.
sure there is.
I don't need a whole other format. Like I feel like this is the format for it. He's got to get them on some horses and.
I do want to say something that the Stone Cold Broken Ranch show is the best show in this format style. and I like nothing's even come close to that show.
I would totally be into a winner stays format in the show,
Yeah.
and like fucking Bam Bam's there every
Yeah.
week, and you have to roll in and try and knock off Bam Bam.
Totally.
I really just want to see The Rock in the suit of armor
Yeah.
taking on these challengers is all I want to see.
Oh, The
Man.
Rock could
I don't even
definitely.
know if
Yeah.
he'd be good at it. That's just all I want to see.
I don't know. I want to get Shaq in some of this armor, just big, just get a real big guy in there.
That armor's gonna have a fun job.
Yeah, that armorist is gonna cobble together from like 3 different suits.
He's just gonna, what was it, Fast 6? He just like flexed out of his
The cast.
the cast, just flexed right out of that armor.
I'm curious to see what other like historical matchups they put together for the team based
Yeah.
thing. Like, I wonder if they're gonna stick to like actual historical matchups, or if they'll make like some fantasy matchups to like people they would have never met in the field of battle. Like what does that look like when they actually meet?
Well, you're
Knights
stuck.
versus dragons.
Yeah, or whatever it is.
Oh.
You're stuck to like a period of time here.
You really are like that's definitely the thing. Like, you're really stuck to like this medieval, like very narrow slice of time, I feel like, and types of weapons and armor that you can have. But I don't
But
know.
like, I feel like just watching this one show, like almost every weapon they used was new to me. Like, I bet there's like a lot more that we just don't know about. That like, I bet this well goes pretty deep.
I really want to see like some kind of challenge where we have to run like a gauntlet through like a crossbow firing range, and you got to choose the best armor for crossbow defense. I don't know. Like,
all
there's,
right.
there's a lot you could do.
All right.
You want them to run like
Cannonballs.
you,
All right,
you want them to run like an insane obstacle course in the armor or something.
Yeah.
I would
talk-
love that.
Talk about being winded. All right. Speaking of updates, we have an important update. Brian, will you give us this update?
Uh-oh.
So I went into Game of Clones season 1, episode 2 for you, the listeners. And
Well, for us too. Like, I want to know. Am
Yeah.
I a listener?
yes, you are.
Now you are.
I'm listening.
You're listening
I'm
to this right now.
I'm listening.
So, as you remember from episode 1, we have Pauly D, and Caitlyn. Now, Pauly D was most of the way through. He had 3 potential contenders.
3 Megan Foxes, right? There were
Yeah.
3 Megan Foxes.
I was trying to remember, like,
They were
who
trying to
wanted-
be Megan Fox.
yeah,
But they
and,
didn't really look like Megan Fox.
and Caitlyn had Quavo.
Yeah. No one cares about her. You can skip her.
Just skip it.
No, I have some good stuff from that.
Take
We
us
only,
on a ride,
we only
Brian.
care about Pauly D.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the listeners might care, but James agrees with me.
Okay. Anyway, so Pauly D went on 3 dates. The first date was a bowling date with Julia. Julia runs in with a leather jacket, biker look, and she is going like all out for this. She tries to suggest truth or dare, and Pauly D's like boring. And then she goes truth or strip. Pauly D's like better.
Oh.
So,
So I-
so they play truth or strip with bowling. So like they both shoot one lane, and whoever has the higher score has to propose a question, or they have to strip.
In like
Well,
a public bowling alley?
I assume this is closed off at this point.
Who knows?
Like I really didn't see anybody else playing, so
This is the normal midnight instead of
Cosmic bowling.
it's Cosmo bowling, it's strip bowling.
The
What
disco
happens-
ball comes down.
so one of my favorite questions from this was from the girl Julia. Who would you save on a sinking boat, JWoww or Snooki? And Pauly D was just like, well, I gotta take my shirt off at that point. He's like,
Oh.
they're both my girls. I would do anything for them. I would take off my shirt for them anytime.
That was good. That's a good line. Did they both get naked at the end of this, or did they stop at underwear?
They stopped. No, they definitely stopped in underwear. Pauly D was definitely. I think he still had pants on, but she did not have pants on.
I mean,
Did
So
he
we-
answer any questions?
No, not really. Actually,
because I'm not surprised that Pauly was like, "Oh, I'm going to take my shirt." Okay, I've been itching to get out of this shirt.
What? You put
Yeah.
a shirt on me? Why am I
Right.
wearing a shirt?
right?
Where
But,
did
No,
the
but
shirt?
if he didn't answer any questions, how do you have his pants on?
He didn't lose the bowling,
Oh,
Yeah, she definitely lost a bit of
He's
clothing.
also a good bowler. Okay.
or better than she was.
Okay.
Or she lost on purpose.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
but the last frame. So the last frame they tied, and that had to have been fucking set up. So then it's like,
What? The integrity of their show? No.
I know, right? So then, of course, Pauly D says, well, instead of taking off the article clothing, let's just kiss.
Wow.
Good move. Good move.
Wow. So I have a question. Like, are these people continuing to pretend to be and dress like these celebrities after this first episode where there's like 10 Megan Foxes? Or is that kind of out the window at this point?
Do they look like Megan Fox or do they
Like-
look like themselves?
I don't think they had to like. They definitely didn't have to dress all the same. They can like do whatever they wanted for this date, but I think they still had to like do makeup and hair, everything else like aside from clothes that would make them look like their celebrity crush.
Megan Fox.
Okay.
That's the only point of the show. You have to
No,
stay with that stick.
I understand that, but it gets weird in the one-on-one date when there's not like 10 of them. I feel like I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know.
Well, what are these other two dates?
Okay.
What are we looking at here?
So Olivia decided to go with a ballet date where they go perform ballet / learn ballet together, and
Your typical date.
Your typical, I'm sure that's her typical first date.
oh yeah,
How does this go with Jersey Shore's Pauly D?
actually it went really well because he was like, oh yeah, I think that this is something that like I can bring back to my daughter and like have some like bonding time with her.
Man,
Wow.
this guy's really matured over the years, it seems.
Oh yeah. But there were like some points where he was like they were about to like just do like one of those like dips and he's like, all right, wait, where's the barbell? Where are the weights?
There it is.
There he is.
There, he's back.
Our boy's still here.
Was there also a kiss on this date?
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
But there was also, like-
Steph.
There was also the catch. So like she's running, got a catch and like lifted her up. Pretty good. But he kept his shirt on for this date, so I was kind of
What?
disappointed.
What?
Oh man, he was wearing a shirt. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
He was doing ballet with a shirt on?
That's
That doesn't make any
nuts.
sense.
I don't really think I
Is this pre
really
or
see ballet men without shirts. Now that I think about it, it's always like leotard style still, or like tank
except
top.
for the really in shape dudes that are like, oh, I got to just pop this
except
shirt
if you're
off.
Pauly D?
But Pauly D.
Sure.
Is this pre or post plastic surgery? Pauly D.
Did he get
We didn't-
plastic surgery?
There was like some rumor that he got
I have
the
no idea.
like some sort of tummy tuck situation where he got like abs like etched in.
What?
Yo, are you saying on this podcast right now that
There's a
DJ
rumor.
Pauly D
There's a
has
rumor.
fake abs?
What?
There's a rumor.
What kind of secret party is this?
Wow.
Man, he's spreading them rumors.
This is a rumor on the internet.
All right, all right.
Unconfirmed, I'd say. It sounds like.
Those rumors came about because like we'll probably get to the show very soon, but he's got another show coming. And there was like pictures of him on the beach, and it was just
He's got like 22
some-
abs, and you're like, where'd all those abs come from?
Like
Abs
he
on
took his
abs.
shirt
Like
off at that Game of Clones show. He did not have abs. Where did those abs come
Got
from?
those double decker abs.
Okay, so
All right.
ballet date, great success.
Number
Yeah.
3. What do we got?
Number 3 was Christina, and this was a couples massage. So of course they start out like in underwear. Great.
No
Are
shirt.
they massaging each other?
No, like this is like
they're just getting massages
They're
in the
getting
same room.
massages like
Hanging
next to
out.
one another.
Such a weird date.
that is an odd date.
I have a question.
Yeah,
What kind of underwear does Pauly wear?
definitely like black boxer shorts.
It's not very exciting.
Or no, sorry, boxer briefs. Yeah, like
Okay.
You're like
Yeah.
slightly better.
Oh,
yeah.
I
you-
want
Well,
a fun,
you-
I
you
want a
gotta
fun
accentuate it.
pattern. I want a fun pattern or
Gotta
like,
accentuate-
or like a picture of the Jersey Shore.
Should I have brought like a picture of
Do
just
you
like
wanna
Pauly
s-
D in his junk?
you want his face
No,
on
no,
there?
no.
I was
You
really
can-
thinking, I'm like, I would just imagine just his face on his crotch.
It's-
You're like, what? Oh, there it is.
I
It's the
thought he
hair.
would have some crazy party. Like, what if they were like metallic? Anyway.
what if it was like Jaden Smith? Just
Whoa.
like,
He has Jaden Smith on his underwear.
I mean, somebody has that Jaden Smith tattoo.
So they're having a weird date.
So they
They had a good date.
Okay.
And like, I mean, this is the person who was like, it's like really similar to like Pauly D, like also like a parent, single parent, and like they had like they were super similar. But I didn't have like much content from that. And then
Was there like a selection?
yes, so
Okay.
the selection part is each girl goes to a different bar, and then they're just waiting there and
Oh
seeing
my
if
God.
Pauly D shows up.
That's the
Oh,
worst.
dirty.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Worst.
Dirty.
Nuts.
So dirty.
Who won?
Olivia,
Olivia.
ballet date.
Wow.
Ballet date.
Wow.
So
The only date where Paulie had his shirt on.
So did you watch the whole episode
Somehow.
too?
I did. So
I don't know. I'm curious if they had anyone else show up after like Pauly D was half of it. Then they finish off whoever the other person was.
they didn't finish off the other person.
Did they
That's
introduce
the
a new
rotation,
person?
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So they introduced one new person, Nicole from the challenge, and then
Ooh, everyone's favorite. I just saw Harrison's face
boy.
cringe in a lot of different ways.
yeah, and
That's fine. We don't need to go into it.
I don't really-
You gave us the update we needed.
yeah,
Who-
I
who
did
is-
see a,
Who
an
is
ad
her
for, like-
celebrity crush though?
Oh yeah, that's good.
But so Kaylin though, like they continue the story a little bit, but their next thing with like the 5 Quavos, like they're going to a flower shop and they're just rolling down the street, 5 guys like shirtless with like a shirt on, rolling into a flower shop.
Quavo.
Oh, that like when they did the
That's
5 Megan
beautiful.
Foxes or whatever down the street would be pretty good with the Quavos. Like that would have been a good shot.
And this is just the fucking weirdest selection event. Like they're supposed to arrange a flower bouquet, and nobody knows how to fucking do that except for florists. And then she
Yeah,
has the
why
nerve to
would
say, "I don't know if they know what they're doing."
Obviously they don't know.
What?
I would openly admit this.
Yeah,
I've
you ask
never done
me?
this before.
and it gets better. So then they have to present the bouquet to Kaylin and recite a poem that they have written.
Can they just be like, I'm out.
Oh.
See ya.
I'm out. I don't want to do it. That couldn't have gone very well.
That does not sound like that went well. Here's 12 roses. Roses are red.
That was all of them.
You're hot. It's like it's just
So Brian, have you continued to watch the show?
Absolutely not. So
So that's it.
okay, so here's the thing. I got really pissed off because like this thing is just artificially getting me invested. It can't like keep me invested through content. It's just like, hey, if you want to finish the storyline, you have to keep going. And then they're gonna sparsely sprinkle in like,
Yeah.
oh, here's an interesting person, and then you got Kaylin and Quavo.
They're just dangling carrots around and keeping you come back. Yeah.
Right. But I did peek at like one of the most recent episodes where they had Kill a Cam.
Is everyone from the fucking challenge going on the show?
Oh
yeah,
yeah, that's a
yeah.
lot of people.
Well, because I saw the teaser
Cara
for
goes
Cara
on
Marie,
it, right?
yeah, and I
Yeah.
wanted to know who
she's-
her crush
Me
is
too.
the
Jason Momoa.
Aquaman guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Right.
also in this
Oh.
episode. So Cam's lookalike was The Rock.
Oh, this is a good episode.
I
got a
want to
bunch
see
of rocks?
that though.
Oh yeah, and
Bunch of beefcakes in there.
so,
Chris, can we get the sound?
So you can definitely get that sound clip.
so for this episode, I was like looking specifically for the Cara Marie part because I'm like, wait, is she still not dating Paulie? Like, what is the timeline for this? Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, Paulie's got a face tattoo on his thigh of Cara Maria.
Yeah.
So when I was doing this, like I got like right before like Cara Marie's part, and the shot that was on screen was Kill a Cam hardcore making out with this Rock lookalike, and it was
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
That's so good. Please tell me that when they lined up all the rocks, they had them all in the fanny pack outfit. That whole situation, that'd have been great.
I did not look at that, unfortunately. I was like too crushed for time. I was like recapping this stuff before I came here.
Nice.
We really appreciate your work.
But Kara's thing was just, yeah, I don't usually make like the best decisions. She tends to follow her genitals, and
Oh my god.
Wow.
Wait, so did you ascertain at what point
No.
in the poly
they
relationship
definitely
this is?
steered away from Polly.
Okay.
Like when they showed pictures of like the challenge stuff, they showed the other dude,
Kyle?
Kyle. Yeah,
Interesting.
This is all very weird to me because Pauly D is in a dating show starting in like 2 weeks,
yeah.
but he was in this dating show 2 weeks ago.
You know what? It didn't work out. You got to quickly bounce back.
I'm like 95% certain like the payment for anybody on this show is just like you might have the chance to bang this celebrity.
I'm sure that they did not actually go on a date after the show.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But they made some TV. You know?
some beautiful TV.
Some beautiful TV together.
Everyone got some new followers. Everyone's happy.
You have a very loose definition of TV.
You know?
Uh,
They had
What
a
if you had
night
to
fight.
date masked singers instead?
Ooh.
And all you had to go on was, do you want this costume or that costume?
Like,
Oh, hell yeah.
one of these 5 is The Rock.
Right.
Let,
Oh.
let me date the fucking bee.
well, there's
You take the
definitely
bee.
some show where you have to pick somebody based on like not seeing them.
Yeah, Dating in the Dark,
Dating in the dark.
which
yeah,
we'll
true.
get to soon.
Also,
we've
Wasn't that
done
the naked
so many love shows.
Oh,
This
but
is
Dating in the
terrible.
Dark is a juicy, juicy treat.
do we have
it's
to do
so good.
Indian dating in the dark? Or
We're gonna do Indian or Australian or UK. It is so good that it's in every country.
nah.
Maybe we'll do a whole
So
month
good.
of Dating in the Dark.
Maybe do a whole month of American Idol too. We could do all
Ooh.
just
the
a whole
voice,
different podcast over here.
like the worst. I've been watching Survivor this season.
Same.
I got
We have
some
too, yeah.
Age of Extinction news. This they've actually, are you caught up then?
We're caught up.
yeah.
Okay. So like they're actually doing the whole Redemption House kind of thing.
Uh-oh.
Redemption Island.
Redemption
suckers.
Island.
This is a whole island of Chris's favorite
Edge of
people.
Extinction.
They're doing a way better job
Ooh.
at dealing with this like Redemption House than the challenge ever did.
Like, what's better?
What do you think they're doing
What's
better?
the main
Yeah.
thing?
So like every episode still has had 2 main challenges. They've had their like
Right.
when they weren't merged, they had the like reward challenge, and then they had the like whoever gets kicked off challenge. I forget what they're called.
The immunity challenge.
Immunity challenge.
Right.
And that has not changed. So they had everyone brought back right at the merge, and they let one person back on the show. But like they still had 2 other challenges that episode.
I know. Yeah, it sounds like the big thing there is this consistent format, which
Well, I'm
I
just
give you
like I
credit.
just
That
don't
makes sense.
want, and like all the stuff that they like kind of show is only just removes like a lot more of the plotting that they would show in other seasons. So like, whereas in the challenge, all they did was extend the show a lot
oh yeah,
to have this redemption house, and then all these people on this island just aren't doing anything other than like they have to like actually work much harder to get food. So, and it's like more torturous because Survivor in general is just kind of more torture than the challenge. So it's just like these people are even tortured even more.
extreme Survivor.
So
Yeah.
so like I think that, and they only spend a couple minutes on it every episode. So I think they've definitely have a good balance.
Is the Redemption Island? Shit, what's that? Naked and Afraid. Because that'd be a hell
That'd
of a
be
thing.
incredible.
That'd be a hell
Not
of a
as
turn.
intense as that, I
It's
would
like
say.
you're in Redemption Island. Take all your clothes off. You're going.
No.
No, no,
Naked
They're,
and
you-
Afraid Island.
they're
you get
still
knocked out
provi-
before you get taken.
they're still providing them with like rice and water and stuff like that.
It was very
like,
unclear to me. There was one time where they had to like walk up a mountain to get rice.
Yeah.
It was unclear if they had to keep doing that. Or
Yeah, I
not.
think they do.
I think they do.
So
I
like
think they do, and then they just made like the strong man Chris do it
I feel
because
like
they didn't like him.
it would be better if everyone was isolated. I think if everyone was separated,
Mm-hmm.
because like the big thing is like you can leave whenever you want. Like you don't have you like
Oh, you can just
you're
walk
making
off
the
this island.
Yeah,
you're
so
making a choice to stay on the island to give a chance to get back in the game.
Right.
And like they have like 4 returning players, and a couple of them are there now, but like those people are probably never going to leave because they knew what they were coming in for. So it's I think the choice also makes it a difference.
Yeah, the way you get on Redemption Island is like at the moment you're eliminated from Survivor, the main game, you walk down the path and you think you're leaving the show, and then you see this big plaque that's like you have a choice. It's like leave the game now or take this torch and get in the boat, and you don't know what you're signing up for.
Oh,
So at the end
that's
of
interesting.
so this was a good catch too. Is at the end of every episode of Survivor, it's someone getting in a boat and just going off into
they're
the
like, I
darkness,
wonder
and
what's gonna happen.
they're like, I have no idea where I'm going. and it was exciting at the beginning of the season because like the first person who goes there is just alone, and they're like really no instructions on like they don't tell them that it is like a redemption island. You're just there, and all you know is that you can raise a sail at any point to go home and get out of the game. But you don't know what you're waiting for. You don't know if anyone else is going to arrive. You don't really know where the food is.
Right. Like, you know, you're still in it
Yeah.
somehow, but you don't really have any context.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you don't
That's
get any
interesting.
rules. And
It
like
definitely sounds like
as a
it'd be really cool
viewer,
early.
yeah.
Yeah.
As a viewer, you don't really get the rules until they do. So like you know that there's going to be a point for them to get back in the game, but they don't really tell you when it's going to happen or what format it's going to be. So like I thought that was compelling.
It's really
Yeah.
Cool way to do that.
I think that we'll see how they continue with that gimmick, but they've done a much better job with the challenge. I mean, the challenge this season has been all right. They've been like they've reined themselves in from their trilogy.
They definitely tightened up the format a lot. It's a lot more consistent now. I mean, there's no Redemption House, which I'm bummed out about. I'm still holding out hope for Secret Redemption House. I'm
Redemption
hoping.
Bunker.
That would be
I hope it's
crazy.
gonna come back at some point, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
If it was a secret redemption house, that'd be way better than the actual redemption house because I wouldn't have known about it, and that's fine. They can like have a chance for other people, old people, to come back on. That's
Yeah,
fine.
we're talking about it the other night. And like, I think that this, I mean, it would be your least favorite episode of the season, but I think that it helps your kind of consistency thing where like you would completely ignore the Redemption House and you keep it a secret until one day you're like, there's been a secret Redemption House this whole time, and here's what happened the last 2 months they were there, and you just have a whole episode that's just fucking people losing their minds in the
Yeah.
Redemption House, and it ends with the challenge to like get them back in or whatever.
Maybe some kind of invasion.
Kinda
or
something.
Yeah.
Like if it was,
That'd be good.
if it was an episode, maybe.
Yeah, it's just like
But,
like one episode of like here's all the bullshit that's been happening in this
Yeah.
Redemption House.
Well, and maybe there could be like maybe they could have had some like mini challenges in the Redemption House
Yeah,
that
yeah,
like
yeah.
get people advantages or something. Like there could be some kind of drama there, and then it culminates and someone's back in, and then
Yeah.
we're back on track.
Totally.
You guys are too nuts.
Redemption
That
House.
would be good
The-
though.
This season is on track to be very short. Like, I mean, last season was insanely long, but this is going to be a short season. Like, there are not that many people
Well,
left. in.
Bananas isn't on it. Why are we even watching it?
I mean, you know,
Dude, the big timer's been dropping like flies. But
Yeah.
do you think? So, question on the it's seemingly shorter. Do you think that's a goal? I mean, obviously we don't know or have any insights of this, right? Like we don't know like how many episodes are going to be or any of that. But I wonder, do you think it's more beneficial to them to make it shorter, such that they can get like another trilogy going or something like that, or is it, or do you expect at some point like they're gonna find a way to extend it and turn it like pivot it somehow and you know what I mean, like kind of double it in some way that we don't kind of foresee right now?
I don't know. I mean, I have not looked at what the rating what the per episode ratings were for last season.
Every episode's through the roof. Every episode's like the most watched
No, I
episode
mean,
of all time.
no, I'm saying like last season. I don't have an understanding of the per episode ratings and like if because the season was long, if they had people falling off or whatever. But like I believe that MTV will do whatever it takes to get the most possible ad impressions.
Right.
Like
They're gonna milk the hell out of
whatever
it.
that's gonna be with however how many episodes it is or how many people are gonna watch it. It's whatever they gotta do to get the most ad impressions. I guess I don't know. Like,
I feel like they gotta keep to this format for the rest of this season because like it's been so tight. Like
Yeah.
I can't imagine that the way they're cutting it like is gonna change.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like with this season, they've really just firmed everything up and they've kind of perfected their production style
Yeah.
to some degree.
Well,
It's all arguable, obviously, but
I thought that like back like regular challenge before the trilogy, they actually were this tight. The trilogy is what really screwed everything up. Where they were like, oh,
Yeah.
sometimes we have a competition and an elimination, and half the time we have a competition, then we have elimination, but then there's like drink night and shenanigans happens, and we don't actually show anything, and then we have like, and that really pissed me off.
there's not enough drink nights. I am going to complain about that. I
But-
need more club drunken nights where shit's really happening.
they always come at the perfect time though, and like they know when the right time to schedule them is, and it's always when there's some large controversial decision pending. It's like this seems like a good time
Yeah.
to take everybody out and get real drunk. Like let's
Yeah.
go do
I
it.
thought that there are like a lot of drinking, but like
There's been like two, I feel like.
I
There's only
feel
been like one club night where like shit got wild. So
I
far this
kind of
season.
feel like people just like aren't getting that crazy because like they
People are
want to
kinda
be
serious,
like on
yeah.
top of their game and like athletic. I feel like that's kind of more of it because I feel like they have opportunities, they just don't go for it as much.
people are training a bunch this season.
Yeah.
What's his face taught somebody to swim? Like who doesn't
Yeah,
know how
Wes.
to swim?
Wes,
Yeah,
yeah.
taught his partner. Yeah.
That was wild.
Well, I think the partner thing here definitely changes that dynamic up a lot because you have somebody that you don't really know that is trying to rail you in because like you go off the rails in the challenge house, like you're just making enemies. You're not making any friends when you go off the rails.
It was no,
Like
for
that's
sure.
just like not happening. So like it just. But then you have Bear, so who the hell? Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then you have the most
Bear.
perfect man on earth, Turbo. Turbo is my favorite player of
Turbo.
all time. Turbo's incredible.
Turbo.
Team Turbo to the
and
top.
Nani.
Team Turbo
I'm,
Nani.
I'm gonna say it on the pod. They're my top pick. I love them so much.
Turbo
That's
has a
interesting.
glorious beard. That beard.
Beautiful beard.
Oh my gosh. I think it's about one of the smartest things that they could have done to team up a veteran with a new person this season, because or else the entire season would have just been it's all the veteran alliance versus all the new people alliance.
Yeah.
Like by forcing them to work together, it has like made the show a lot more interesting. So I'm definitely happy that they did that. And they worked out this guy girl whole disaster from last season
Yeah.
too.
And the UK stuff is actually not like they in the last couple recent episodes they've chopped it to be like, oh, there's this big UK alliance. When you look at it, like there's a UK alliance person, but then they're partnered with somebody else who is not,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah,
there's
for
a lot
sure.
of I think
Yeah.
like they've struck a reasonable balance somehow. It just kind of worked out.
They've done an interesting thing too, I think, with having like veterans and newbies together, and also making the voting for like the top 3 teams, like have all the voting be individual for who you're actually going to send in. Because I think it's kind of interesting how like both people on the team don't have to break an alliance. You can kind of like swing it like in a bunch of different ways. And like I think it's interesting watching like Davon deal with Bear, because like he's a disaster, but like she makes a pretty like emotional pitch to keep her in it. And it's like, I don't know, I think I just think the veteran newbie partnership is really interesting.
And the individual voting. I
Yeah.
think is clutch.
Yeah. I think it
Especially when it
really
comes
like
down to
sort
that
of changes
last
what those
vote in 2
alliances
days.
are.
Who do you
Yeah.
want to put in, and it's all on you.
Totally. And that's clearly like a producer pick, because like sometimes when the top 3 teams are lined up there and TJ kind of goes down the line, but you don't know who he's going to call first of each pair, like he definitely has kind of an agenda about who he wants that last vote to fall to.
For
And
sure.
that's kind of interesting, but still they give everyone agency, which is good.
But like you know that if you're that last person, you cannot vote to vote.
You
vote-
can't make
you
a tie.
can't vote into a
'Cause you know you're
tie
going in,
because everyone's
yeah.
going in. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, that was the challenge talk.
Hey, we had to get on it somehow.
Somehow. You can find us on Facebook.com/whoputthison. You can find us on Twitter @whoputthison. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next time.